Lesson 26. So, Catherine, this is the letter that we got our English Z from, and that's pretty clear from the way it looks in its uppercase form. In the lowercase form, it's kind of just a big squiggle.
This is one that our listeners may need to practice a bit more in the lowercase form, kind of like Xi earlier.
You know, I think this was actually harder for me than Xi because I couldn't get the bottom curve to look right. Whenever I would do the bottom curve, it didn't look proportional or something.
It was harder for me as well because Xi was almost just a bunch of curly cues, but this one, I had to move my hand in a completely different direction than I'm used to. So it may take a little more practice.
But even if you don't do it well, even if you have sloppy handwriting, even if you just try to write the letters, it's only going to help you because as you try to copy the letter, it's going to help you take note of its shape and form.
Now, Bill, this is another double consonant, is it not?
It is, and this is another kind of long story, isn't it? At face value, we can say about this letter that it has the sound of a Z and a D put together. And, in most Greek textbooks, they give you the example of the word wisdom as a way to try to capture that sound. It's like the S and the D in the word wisdom. So, zd, a Z and a D together. But that's not really the whole story. There is a bit of confusion about whether the Z sound came first or the D sound.
Yes. In fact, I've seen Greek textbooks say that it's like the DZ in the word adze, like the carpenter's tool.
Catherine, here's a quote from a Greek textbook that talks about this very issue. It says, "There is, however, some dispute over the pronunciation of this letter." And then it goes on to say that either SD or DZ is acceptable for classroom use. So the sound of this letter is not completely certain, and it may have changed over time. But a good starting point is to pronounce it like a Z and a D. And if your Greek teacher asks you to change that later, that's fine. Just go ahead and change it.
As with a lot of these letters that have disputed pronunciation, as long as you're in the general vicinity, we're certainly happy.
And if you do pronounce it like a Z and a D, that can actually help you in the future because what you'll find is that there's a certain class of consonants called dentals, sounds that involve touching your tongue to your teeth. And linguistically, this letter behaves like a dental because of the D quality that's embedded in it. And for me, that's one of the reasons why I encourage people to pronounce it like a Z and a D, is because that D quality makes it do the things linguistically in the Greek language that the letter delta does. And that can help you figure out the spellings of certain verbs. It's going to disappear sometimes before the letter sigma, right, Catherine?
Exactly. And that is what usually happens when you have a delta that gets paired with a sigma. The delta disappears. But zeta behaves in the same manner.
So learning the letter zeta as a Z sound and a D sound together will help you in the future with some of the more advanced things that you have to do with Greek. It's a good general way to start with this letter. It's just a good starting point.